You've been lied to. They told you women are simple, that what they say is what they mean, that confidence and good looks are enough. But the truth? Most men have no idea what's really happening beneath the surface of a woman. She might smile, flirt, tease, but inside there's an emotional universe, chaotic, layered, and full of unspoken cravings. Not for compliments, not for comfort, but for something rare, a man who sees through the noise. Welcome to Masculine Stoic Mind. Here, we don't chase, we don't over-explain. We learn to read women without words and respond not with emotion, but with grounded masculine presence. In this video, I'm revealing 9 hidden female weaknesses most men never see, because they're too focused on impressing rather than observing. These aren't games. This isn't manipulation. This is perception, awareness, stoic power. So if you're tired of surface-level advice, if you're ready to understand what women truly respond to, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's go deeper, because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Let's begin. 1. The hidden craving for leadership. She walks in like she owns the room. Confident, independent, untouchable. She looks like she's in control, and that's exactly what she wants you to believe. But here's the truth most men will never see. Deep beneath that power is a silent craving to surrender, not to just any man, but to one who doesn't flinch. You see, women have been told they must lead, dominate, and never depend on anyone, so she became the boss, the queen, the I don't need a man archetype. But underneath all that armor is a woman yearning to feel safe enough to let go, safe enough to be led by a man who knows where he's going and doesn't ask for permission to get there. She's not looking for a puppet or a pushover. She wants direction without control, presence without need, power without noise. Here's where most men fail. They try to earn her surrender with compliments, gifts, or approval. But the truth is, you don't earn her surrender. You command it through stillness, certainty, and grounded leadership, and this terrifies her. But it also turns her on more than anything else. Comment below. Have you ever seen a powerful woman soften in your presence, without you doing anything but holding your ground? Type, I've seen it, if you felt that shift. Or type, I want to experience that, if you're ready to. This is feminine polarity at its core. She tests your leadership, not to fight you, but to see if you'll stand firm when her emotions push back. And when you don't fold, that's when she begins to follow. Not because you forced her, but because your energy gave her something rare: relief, safety, direction. Most men chase her body, but the man who leads himself, he claims her soul. 2. The conflict between words and emotions. A woman's words are rarely the full story. She might say she's not looking for anything serious, that she's focused on herself, that she's emotionally unavailable. And yet, she checks your stories at 2 a.m. Her eyes linger a little too long. Her body turns toward you when you walk into the room. This is where the average man gets confused. He takes her literally. But the grounded man listens differently. He listens with his eyes, his gut, his awareness. He hears the silence between her words, feels the tension in her voice, notices the shift in her energy. Because here's the truth, women communicate on 2 channels, one verbal, one emotional, and the second one never lies. Her mouth might say, I don't care, but her breathing speeds up when you get too close. She says, we're just friends, but pulls back when you mention another girl. That's not contradiction, that's emotional coding. And unless you can read it, you'll always play the wrong game. Most men either push too hard, trying to get answers and clarity, or they back away completely thinking she's not interested. But the stoic man, he watches, he waits, he doesn't need confirmation because he's not chasing approval. He's tuned in, fully present. And when the moment's right, he doesn't ask, what are we? He simply says, you're safe to feel whatever you feel here. That calm, grounded presence disarms her because suddenly she doesn't have to pretend. She doesn't have to hold the mask, and that's when she starts opening, not her legs, but her emotional walls. That's when the real intimacy begins. If you've ever felt a woman say one thing and show you another, you're not crazy. You're catching the real message. Drop a comment that says, "I feel it now," if this opened your eyes. Because this is where most men get filtered out. They argue with her words and miss her truth. Don't be that man. Stay still, stay aware. Let her words speak, but let her energy reveal. 3. Her addiction to emotional stimulation. She says she wants peace, that she's done with games, that she's looking for something mature, something real, and yet she starts petty arguments over nothing, disappears for hours, posts cryptic stories just to see if you'll react. Why? Because for many women, drama isn't just chaos, it's a test and sometimes a drug. Emotional tension gives her a sense of control. It creates a spark, a response, a signal that she still has power. And when she doesn't get that emotional hit, she'll try to create it. Not because she's evil, but because emotion is her oxygen. The storm is her language. And the man who panics, chases, argues back, he fails the test. The Stoic man, on the other hand, doesn't flinch. He doesn't match her energy, he anchors it. When she pushes, he doesn't pull. When she tries to trigger him, he doesn't bite. Not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to be controlled by chaos. That stillness, it drives her wild, because now she has to feel her own emotions instead of projecting them onto you. And when you don't rise to the bait, something inside her shifts. She realizes this isn't a boy reacting. It's a man who chooses when and how to respond. And suddenly, the drama loses its power. Here's the secret. She'll either evolve or she'll vanish. Either way, you win. Drop a comment that says, "No reaction is power," if you've ever stayed calm while she tested you. Because that's what real masculine energy does. It doesn't fight for control. It commands without needing to raise its voice. And when you stop dancing with her emotional chaos, you give her what she secretly craves more than anything, a reason to relax. 4th, fantasy versus reality. Every woman carries a fantasy. Not the kind she'll admit out loud, but the one that plays silently in her mind. The one where she's pinned, breathless, claimed by a man who knows exactly what he's doing. Not a man who asks if it's okay, not one who hesitates or second guesses. Her deepest craving isn't flowers or polite dinners, it's presence, power. A man who doesn't try to become her fantasy, he becomes the reason she forgets all the others. But here's the catch, most men are either too soft, too scared, or too obsessed with getting her to like them. And that kills the fire, so she escapes into fiction, romance novels, late-night scrolling, a mental highlight reel of men who don't exist. Because the real world is full of men trying to impress her, not possess her in the way she truly craves. But then every once in a while, a different energy enters the room, a man who doesn't compete, doesn't chase, doesn't perform. He just is, calm, unshaken. He looks at her like he's already seen every layer, speaks like he doesn't care whether she stays or leaves, touches her like she's his already. And in that moment, her fantasy short-circuits because he feels more real than anything she's imagined. That's what grounded masculinity does. It pulls her out of her head, out of her loops and into the now. She stops overthinking, stops pretending, stops testing. She just responds, instinctively, emotionally, completely. Drop a comment that says, "Become the dream," if you've ever felt a woman shift into full surrender when you stopped trying to be liked and started owning the moment. Because you don't seduce a woman with fantasy talk. You become the man her imagination never saw coming. 5. The "I'm fine" lie. She says she's fine, but her voice went flat, her eyes lost their light, her body pulled away just slightly, and her text replies turned cold. Most men hear the words and back off. Or worse, they panic, start over-apologizing or beg for answers. But what they don't realize is this: "I'm fine" is never about the words. It's an emotional smokescreen, a defense mechanism. She doesn't need you to solve it. She needs you to feel it and hold steady while she figures out if she can trust you with her truth. A woman rarely communicates her real feelings directly, not because she's playing games, but because vulnerability is terrifying, so she masks it with silence, sarcasm, or detachment. And this is where men get filtered. The ones who collapse under confusion, who demand answers, who chase for reassurance, they're gone. But the man who stays calm, who sees her tension and doesn't flinch, that man makes her feel something she almost forgot, understood without explanation. You don't fix "I'm fine" with words. You fix it with energy, stillness, presence. You lean in emotionally without chasing physically. You say, "You don't have to talk right now, but I see what you're not saying, and I'm not going anywhere." That calm pressure, that emotional confidence, it makes her melt. Because now she knows you're not reacting to her storm, you're anchoring her through it. That's what emotional leadership looks like. Not loud, not forceful, just certain. If you've ever seen a woman soften when you said less and felt more, drop a comment that says, "I don't flinch." Because the men who don't fold under pressure, they become the rare presence she never knew she was waiting for. 6. The validation fix. She left. She said it's over. She moved on, or at least that's what her words said. But somehow she still watches your stories, likes your posts, texts you at random hours with casual little check-ins like, "Hey, hope you're good." It's not love, it's not closure, it's validation hunger. You see, in her world, attention equals value, and your reaction tells her one thing: she still matters. Most men fall for it. They reply too fast. They try to be polite, or worse, they think maybe she wants to come back, so they open the door emotionally, hoping to win her over again. But what they don't realize is, she's not trying to come back. She's just trying to confirm she still has emotional power over you, that you still think about her, that you're still available, and every time you reply with interest, even subtly, she gets her hit. But the Stoic man, he doesn't give out emotional charity. He sees the message and pauses, not out of spite, not to play games, but because he knows his attention has weight. And if she walked away from it, she doesn't get to sip from it now just to soothe her ego. This doesn't mean being cold or rude. It means being intentional, powerful, selective. When you stop responding to validation traps, something shifts. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he replied? Is he with someone else? Does he not care? Her mind spirals, her ego aches, and suddenly you're no longer just a memory, you're a mystery. And nothing pulls a woman in faster than the man she can't predict. Drop a comment that says, "My silence has value," if you've ever chosen stillness over reaction. Because sometimes the most attractive thing a man can do is nothing at all. 7. The identity crisis. Ask her what she wants in a man and watch the contradiction unfold. She says confidence, but also kindness. She wants a gentleman, but also a savage. She says she loves being independent, yet lights up when a man takes the lead. This isn't manipulation, it's confusion. Because the truth is, she doesn't fully know who she is. Not yet. And that's not a flaw, it's a reflection of the world she's been raised in. Modern women have been told to be everything at once. Soft, but not weak. Sexy, but not too available. Fierce, but feminine. And in trying to be it all, many lose touch with what they actually feel, what they genuinely crave. So they shapeshift. One day she's cold and guarded, the next she's playful and vulnerable. And most men, unsure how to handle the inconsistency, either chase harder or pull away in frustration. But the Stoic man doesn't do either. He doesn't demand consistency, he brings it. While her moods fluctuate, he remains grounded. While her identity feels like a moving target, He doesn't try to define her. He gives her space to just be. And that stability, that calm, non-judgmental presence, it feels like home to a woman who's been performing for the world her entire life. He says, "You don't need to figure out who you are around me. Just be here. I'll stay the same." And suddenly the pressure to impress dissolves. She doesn't have to be the boss, the flirt, the strong one, the perfect one. She just gets to be human, emotional, messy, real. If you've ever had a woman tell you, "I don't know why, but I feel so safe with you," drop a comment that says, "I am her calm." Because when the world pulls her in every direction, the man who knows exactly who he is becomes the anchor she never knew she needed. 8. The armor of strength. She walks like a queen, talks like a leader, and looks like she doesn't need anyone. She pays her own bills, makes her own choices, and trusts no one but herself. To most men, she seems unreachable, untouchable. They either idolize her or avoid her, but what they don't see is that all that strength, it's not always real. It's armor, a mask, a survival instinct sharpened by past betrayals, disappointments, and weak men who couldn't handle her fire, or worse, tried to control it. Underneath her edge is a woman who's exhausted, tired of leading all the time, tired of holding it all together, tired of pretending she's not craving a man who can take the weight off without taking her power away. She doesn't want to be dominated. She wants to surrender without fear. But she'll never say that. In fact, she'll test you to make sure you're not another boy playing dress-up as a man. So she'll push your buttons, challenge your authority, raise her voice to see if you'll lose your center. And when you don't, when you stay calm, collected, and grounded through the storm, that's when she finally exhales. That's when she realizes, I can be strong out there, but I can be soft here. Not because you forced her to submit, but because your stillness gave her the space to relax. Most men either try to overpower her or stay away altogether. But the Stoic man, he doesn't fear her edge. He walks straight into the fire and doesn't flinch. He pulls her close while she's still trying to push him away. And in doing so, he gives her the thing she thought didn't exist. A man strong enough to lead her without losing himself. Drop a comment that says, "I don't fear her fire," if you've ever seen a strong woman melt in the presence of your certainty. Because the most powerful women don't want control. They want a reason to let it go. 9. The thought loop trap. You say something harmless and watch her eyes drift, not away from you, but inward, into a maze of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. One sentence becomes 100 thoughts. One silent moment becomes proof you're pulling away. This isn't drama for fun. It's how many women process emotion. In circles, louder and faster with every lap. Logic won't save her here. Explanations only feed the spin. What she needs is interruption, strong, immediate, undeniable presence that drags her out of her head and back into her body. The average man will debate, defend, even apologize for things he never did. The Stoic man does something radical. He steps closer, looks her dead in the eyes, slides a hand to the small of her back and says, "Stop thinking. Breathe with me." In that instant, the loop breaks. Her shoulders drop, her breath deepens, and the story in her mind collapses under the weight of your certainty. You didn't win an argument. You ended the war she was fighting with herself. And here's the secret. Every time you ground her like that, her trust doubles. Because you've proven you can handle the storm she can barely handle alone. Most men try to fix the content of her thoughts. The grounded man changes the state she's in, so the thoughts lose their grip. If you've ever watched worry dissolve the moment you touched her with intention, drop a comment that says, "Presence is the cure," Because a woman doesn't fall for explanations. She falls for the man who can pull her out of the spiral and into the moment where only the two of you exist. These 9 weaknesses aren't flaws. They're not problems to fix or games to outsmart. They're simply reflections of what it means to be feminine in a world that's constantly shifting. And your role as a man, it's not to judge, chase, or control. It's to remain grounded when she can't. To be the calm in her chaos, the frame when she's unraveling, the presence that makes her feel more herself than she ever thought possible. Most men try to impress. They talk too much, react too quickly, and disappear when things get emotional. But the Stoic man, the grounded man, he watches, he feels, he leads without needing approval, and that alone makes him unforgettable. If any part of this video spoke to you, don't just watch and scroll. Drop a comment below. Let me know which one of these 9 truths hit you hardest. Type, "I hold the frame" if you're committed to becoming that rare kind of man, the one she can test, trust, and surrender to. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Masculine Stoic Mind, and turn on notifications. Because this is just the beginning. There's a deeper level of power, clarity, and masculine presence waiting for you, and we're going to uncover it, step by step. Until next time, stay calm, stay grounded, and hold the frame.